You guys are listening to the Jordan Garber Now podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. Alright guys, welcome to the Jordan Garber Now podcast. I am your host, Jordan Garber, and today we have some great interviews and some great people calling in to chat with us. We have none other than a great interview, kicking things off with none other than Kris Demise. This interview is for the Northern Wrestling Federation fans. I look forward to providing that to you guys here tonight. As well, an old friend by the name of Sammy calls in. We talk about sports and more for 45 minutes. And as well, Mr. Cruz and myself go on and discuss wrestling news. And then later, Ratboy has taken the time to answer my challenge. He's going to be on the podcast again later tonight. And our main event interviews are some short interviews with none other than Rene Dupree and Kris Masters, both former WWE stars. All that coming up next on the Jordan Garber Now podcast. Are you guys always worried about what could possibly go wrong? Well, there's no need to worry about that anymore with Mogo, free identity fraud protection. Download the app right now at mogo.ca. It doesn't just provide identity fraud protection, you can also check your credit score, finances, and make goals. Download the app and get protected today at mogo.ca. Alright, Northern Wrestling Federation fans, my name is Jordan Garber, and I'm here with a guy that a lot of people are not happy with, but a guy that said he was going to do what he was going to do, and that was win that Future Stars Battle Royal with controversy, however. But before we get to that, Kris, welcome to the first edition here of Jordan Garber Now, combined with the Northern Wrestling Federation. How you doing tonight, brother?
I'm actually doing pretty good, Jordan. I won the Battle Royal, so I'm celebrating. They say to the victor go the spoils, so the spoils went to me.
Definitely. And, going into that match, that was definitely a victory you needed. But a lot of people are saying that you may have used a few shortcuts to get the victory. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, you could say controversy, but, the only thing that matters in this business is the W's and the L's. I walked away with the W, as you know. I smacked Noah Gabriel upside the head with this chain, this very one I'm wearing now. But, I'm a wrestler. He's not. I had to show him what it was there. And like I said, I walked away with the W. That's the only thing that matters.
You think are you concerned about Noah Gabriel trying to get an extra advantage and, catch you off your guard? Are you having eyes in the back of your head right now? Or are you totally not worried about Noah whatsoever?
Yeah, I'm not really worried. I've got my eyes on him. I follow him. I know he's training hard, but I train too. So, he's never going to catch me. He can work as hard as he wants, but like I said, I'm the wrestler, so I'm not really too worried about him.
What are your goals here to complete in the Northern Wrestling Federation? What do you want to do here on your checklist for these next 2 years, let's say?
Well, right now I am scheduled to wrestle Noah Gabriel, so I do plan on putting him down for good, teaching him that lesson. Then I plan on moving on to the unified title. I'm not sure whether that's kind of the title that the Future Stars, kind of go after there. So that's really next on my list. I'm hoping I can capture that pretty soon. Then after that, sky's the limit, man. Start taking it up from there. First we've got Impact Wrestling star Larry D as the heavyweight champion. So, of course, that's top of the list right there.
Definitely. I think you see yourself going head to head with Larry D within this next, within the future, and fighting for that big strap, or do you have a long ways to go? You think?
I've definitely got some work to go, but I definitely could see myself mixing it up with him too. He hits hard, but I hit hard too, and I've got this bad boy right here. So, whatever happens, happens.
Absolutely, my man. Well, you know what? It might have been a very controversial finish there with that chain that you hit Noah Gabriel with, and you're going to have a match with him. I'm really excited about that. But who are some stars here in the NWF that you want to go one-on-one with in that squared circle?
Like I mentioned, we've got Larry D. We've also got Christopher Michael Lotus, who's who kind of had mentored me, kind of got me to this point. So I definitely like to mix up with him in the future. Let's see here. The prodigy, Kobe Kane, obviously he's the unified champion, so I've got him on my list there. The big monster DC, DC Universe, the tri-state champion. That's one I have my eye on for a long time too. So he's definitely up there, man. So anybody that's got some gold, I definitely want it. I'll say that.
Definitely hungry for that gold. And, Northern Wrestling Federation has such a long history. So it's great to see you be a dominant force in this organization and in this sport. Is there anything else you have a message for the NWF locker room, promoters, fans, people watching at home?
Yeah, man. I basically just proved it. Like I said, I said from the beginning I would win the Battle Royal. Noah Gabriel really isn't anything to me. So, if you step in front of me, you saw what happened. You will meet your demise, as I say there. So.
Right on. Well, there it is, everybody. Kris Demise here from the Northern Wrestling Federation, defeating Noah Gabriel, hitting him with that chain in controversial fashion. But at the end of the day, he is still the winner of the Northern Wrestling Federation Future Star Battle Royal. Thanks for being on the show, man.
Thank you.
Alrighty. What a great interview with none other than Kris Demise here on the Jordan Garber Now podcast. A lot more, including our caller calling in next.
Hi there. Hey, it's Sammy here. Is that Jordan?
Hey, what's going on? Welcome to the Jordan Garber Now podcast. Where are you from, my man?
Hey, great to be here, Jordan. Well, hopefully you should remember, I think you remember me, but I'm here in Winnipeg, Manitoba. I don't know if you remember that we used to work together, but
we sure did.
Winnipeg, Manitoba, nice and warm. How was your weekend? Did you what'd you do to keep your sanity with everything going on?
Yeah, I did everything I can to keep my sanity. I do remember those times we worked together, quite a few stints.
I've still got, believe it or not,
you still got my card.
Rookie card. You betcha. I'll remember. I don't know if you're going to, I'm going to give you an honest story here. When I first heard Jordan was back in the office, I don't know if I told you, but I confused you with a different person named Jordan. I mean, how many people really have the first name? Well, I haven't met many people named Jordan, so I thought you were a different Jordan. So every time I was coming to the office, I would ask my coworker, I'd be like, ask Jordan if he wants a donut or something. And they'd be like, why do you want to get Jordan a donut? I'm like, he's a cool guy. And then finally, when they come in, I came to the office, and they're like, oh, yeah, Jordan's here. Oh, no, you walked in, and then the supervisor goes, Jordan's here. I'm like, who the heck's that guy? And they're like, well, that's Jordan. I'm like, that's not the Jordan I'm thinking of. And that's when we met.
I remember that.
Yeah, you walked in, and then you came, and I guess you had remembered me, and I apologize that I didn't. But and then you gave me your rookie card, and I'm like, you said, yeah, Sammy, I'll give you my rookie card. And I'm like, okay. And I swear to God, I've still got it. You know what? I'll send you a picture of me with your card after the call. I still have it.
Absolutely.
Signed and everything.
I remember that.
And I've kept it, and I've actually told other co-workers about you, who I know you have the wrestling aspect of you, and I told them about you, and I did my diligence. I looked you up. I mean, pretty legit. I mean, I was pretty impressed that I actually got to meet somebody like you, and here now I am calling in on your podcast.
Well, I remember the first time meeting you. We never really chatted much, The business we're in, and the only word I'll say is the sales business. When we're in a hard knocks industry like that, I remember, I was even having good days, but some were bad. And I just remember you just keep saying, yeah. And then you're like, you know what? I'm going to go to Staples. I'm going to have a smoke. Like, you're so euphoric. And it's like, this is Sammy. And you're one of the best. And it's
one of the reasons I sit, and they put me to sit where I'm on the other side of the room. So even the new people are on the opposite side of the office, and they still hear me because I'm just that loud. And I try to be energetic. I mean, it's about keeping, like you said, sales, no matter what type of sales you're in, car sales, whatever, selling newspapers, whatever you're selling, you're going to have bad days. My
Absolutely.
job is, I mean, I look at it that even if I'm having a bad day, if I can make your day better, that that at least that's a positive, right?
You
So
certainly
I
did
try to
that.
be the goofy guy. I try to be the goofy guy, and I remember there was tons of times people are like, "Well, how do you know that person?" I'm like, "I don't know." Like I just like the supervisors who sit in the middle. We have staff that are across the country, and I'll be like, "Oh, it's this person's birthday today." They're like, "Well, how do you know that?" I'm like, "Because I asked them. I talked to them." I go, "It's part of being. It's part of being a human. It's just personal politeness, you know, like." That's just how I was brought up. And manners, there you go. Manners is the word. I had, I tried to portray positive manners with people. So
Without the industry I'm in, without the industry I do, there is no podcast because I consider jobs like we had podcast development. So when you're on the floor and you're working with other people, whether that's at a grocery store or a sales place, anywhere, does it make you bring joy every day to like help people and see them succeed? Because in a business like that,
I do kind of do it everywhere. I mean, I do watch my environment. Obviously, listening to, I mean, you would know this, but people listening to this podcast, and I don't mean this in a racist way, but I
absolutely not.
am East Indian descent. I'm a larger guy. I'm a larger guy. I have a bit of a cheek beard. So my personal opinion is I always have to be concerned about the way society looks at me. So I do try to make jokes, but at the same time, you got to be careful, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
you say one wrong joke. Like I'll be walking in the mall, and I'll say, "Hey man, those are nice shoes." And the person will look at me and they'll be like, "Thanks." But then they'll walk away. And then I realize what I just did is I look in the mirror, I look at myself, and I'll be like, "Hey man, those are really nice shoes." You know what I mean? Like that's what they hear when all I tried to say is, "Wow, those are really nice shoes." I mean, I've been in the mall, I'll hear somebody sneeze across the hall and I'll shout, "Bless you." And they'll be like, okay. I'm like, it's just a shame that society has come this far. I get it. I don't say that it's right. I understand it, but I don't think that it's right. I mean, you can look at any type of person in a walk of life. I mean, but yeah, for my case, people tell me, why don't you just go, that's why I don't hang out anywhere, is because of how I look. And again, because I try to be polite, I could also be seen as the wrong type of polite too, right? You can come across the wrong way, and then you're just putting yourself in a situation that you don't want to be in.
Absolutely. And before we get to these questions here, big shout out. Everyone knows who those guys are. And it's great working with you guys, all of you, including yourself there, man. So yeah, I appreciate it. And what do you have here for us today?
So, well, I got two of them. I've got a controversial question because that's just who I am, and then I've got a really nice thinking question, I think, for you.
Nice.
Which one do you want to start off with?
Let's get my mind racing first.
Do you want to go with the thinking one? All right. You know what? You always look at, I remember I have a farm group. Can I give a shout out to my farm group here?
Absolutely. Shout outs are all accepted.
To my brothers, Sean, Ian, and Colin Pick, and Pedro Mota. That's the farm fishing group that we go every year. And I ran the question by them, and they thought it was pretty cool. But that's my farm fishing group. We go every year. And to Mr. Pick, Ian's dad, of course, the family who lets us stay at their house. Anyways, one of the things that I liked about our farm fishing trip, and this is where when you asked me, is we will discuss sports all weekend, but the same question we can discuss for 3 days, because we'll discuss it and then you'll let it go, and then something will pop in somebody's head the next day, and then they'll be like, "Hey, you remember that question? Oh, I think this." So anyway, you always see these things about. Where it came was the greatest of all time, GOATs. And they're talking about LeBron, they're talking about Michael, they talk about Wayne Gretzky, they talk about Crosby, they talk about Tiger Woods, they talk about Jack Nicklaus. Well, here's my question. Now, okay, we can talk about GOATs who have won championships. Take away championships. What would you consider the GOATs of each sport? I mean, the only one that came to my head for NFL, for example, was Dan Marino. Never won a Super Bowl. So what I mean is, if you thought of those sports, I mean, it's a really long question. I mean, we could just pick out one sport or one or two sports. But to get what I mean, for a guy who's for all these championships, take away the championship off the board, who's the greatest player to play in each one of those sports who never did actually win a ring?
That's a great question. Now,
I personally thought so. The farm fishing group thought it was a good question too.
That is a very, very detailed question. Now, I'm just gonna pick.
Sorry, man.
I love it, man. I absolutely love it. Now, I have two in mind. One is from a fan perspective, and another is from basically just a history perspective. My first one would be none other than Rafael Palmeiro, because I met him when he played in Winnipeg.
Okay.
He's probably, I get the whole steroids thing, but we got to look at the stats on the board. Stats will never replace themselves. So I say Rafael Palmeiro, but, more of a scientific answer, it would either be Ted Williams or Ernie Banks.
Well, there you go. Okay. See, those guys didn't even come to my head, so.
Although Barry Bonds did hit the most home runs, but Barry Bonds...
one guy said, I don't think Ken Griffey ever won anything.
No, he didn't, actually.
Yeah, but one guy, one of my friends, I don't remember, said put him up there because he never took anything to help his injuries. He always tried to, he was kind of like Daniel Bryan. He never wanted to take any surgeries or things. I think he did, but he never took any drugs or anything like that to heal himself. So he took longer to heal, where he could have broken record. That was their argument. Is all I'm saying is, I just think it's one of those questions that you could, whether or not you drink or don't drink, you indulge in. Oh, let me put it this way: whether you or your friends or the listeners, whether you indulge in anything, I think that's a whole conversation you can have with each sport.
Absolutely.
Coming up with, it's just questions. Like I said, personally, for NFL, like I said, Dan Marino came to my mind.
I got one for basketball. I got my basketball one here. I'm going to say Reggie Miller.
I was going to say, I don't know for sure, and I'm not a big fan of his either, because I heard John Stockton. Has Malone ever won it?
Malone has won a title, yeah. I think
he did, okay.
97?
So they said John, because the another part of the question came up in my head was John, it was something I heard about John Stockton was one of the greatest players to play basketball who never won a championship. I think that's where the question
I'm trying to see if John Stockton has a title. I'm actually going to look this up, man.
That was, and I swear to God, this has been within the last week. And there's no way that I'm dreaming about John Stockton. Trust me. He's not. I never liked him. I was a Michael Jordan fan.
He got the most steals, though. He was a really good defensive player.
Yeah. Does he have the most steals?
I think he might.
I know he did a while ago. I don't know if that's changed, but.
I can look that up, too. But John Stockton here, 10-time All-Star. Too. That's crazy.
Because I don't know that he left Utah. I don't think Karl Malone won his championship in Utah. If he did. Karl Malone had to leave. Utah never won the championship, did they?
Because I remember Karl Malone won in 97 and 99, but I don't know if it was with the Jazz. But with Stockton, yes, he is the current leader in steals with 3,265, and Jason Kidd and Michael Jordan are in second and third. Jason Kidd is actually one of my favorite players of all time. He's not the best NBA player.
Karl Malone couldn't have won in 99. Didn't the Bulls win in 99?
What's that? Sure.
There were 2 years. Sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah.
I think right. There were 2 years.
It says 97, 99 here.
Because there were, out of the 8 years in the hypothetical 8-year Bull run, the way I look at it, the only 2 years in the 8 years that they lost was 2 years that Michael Jordan left. They had a three-peat, and then he left for 2 years, where another team won for 2 years, and then they won again. And I think they won 97, 98, 99 personally.
Karl Malone.
That's only because I'm a Jordan fan.
Yeah, we've reached the finals 3 times in 19 years. However, he did not capture a title. I am wrong.
There.
Wow, you stumped me. It's like Stump the Schwab. Remember that show?
Stump the Schwab, yeah.
I love that show.
I used to watch that at the office.
I want to get him on. I'm going to find his contact info right away.
But yeah, no, so I would have, that's when they said, Karl Malone is up there for me. I never liked him, but he
Why
was
didn't
up
you like
there.
him? I thought he was a great player and a leader.
I'm a very influential person.
Yeah.
Oh, this was, I think I told you about actors. If an actor, person, or a wrestler, or somebody portrays their role so good, or I am on the other side. For example, I was a Bret Hart fan, or John. So if you were an arch villain of that person, I didn't like you. So in 1985, in Michael Jordan's second year, I became a Jordan fan. Not because I knew anything about Jordan, But my two best friends, my school best friend was a Lakers fan because he liked Magic Johnson, and my best friend in life was a Detroit Pistons fan, and he liked Isaiah Thomas. So I needed to find a team. So he was the next hot shot out there, Michael Jordan. He wasn't, I mean, I didn't know anything about him. He was just the hot shot. So I picked Michael Jordan. So I became obsessed with Jordan. I mean, I've got posters, his books, blah, blah, blah. But I've liked him since '85. So in the later part of his career, I never liked Magic Johnson. I never liked Detroit. I never liked Rodman until he came and joined them. I didn't like anybody else other than the Bulls. I hated Horace Grant when he left. You know, I was one of those people. I was just very passionate about the team. So when they played against Utah, I didn't like them. So that's why. Had nothing to do with him as a player. Just he was against my boy Jordan. So.
Did you watch the documentary on Netflix about the Bulls?
I have. It's funny because when I told you about my farm trip boys that I was calling in, but the same guy calling, he asked me about that, and I said no, I have to devote a weekend because there's so much controversy one way or the other. Like some people told me that I don't know what kind of language I'm allowed to use, but they said Michael Jordan was a prick.
Prick.
And I'm like, I don't. Oh, okay. I'm allowed to say prick. Okay.
You can say what you want.
They said, yeah. They said Michael. Oh, I don't know.
It's your show, man. This is your show right now.
I'm like, I don't blame the guy. They're like, what do you mean? I go, when I played a sport called cricket, and I lost best friends for a week or two because once the game started, I'm not your friend. I'm playing for my team. I played against. It's why the farm trip boys I became closer with them. I played against them. My brother came out with this team called Next Gen. Shout out to Next Gen, but Next Gen Cricket Club, and I played against them, and we destroyed them. But I saw the effort that these guys put through. They were all newcomers to the sport, and I saw the effort that they did. And after the game, I told them secretly behind my team's back, I'm like, what if I come play with you guys next year? Because during that game, even though he's my brother, and I'll lay down, like I said, I'll break my back for my brother. But during that game, you're not my brother. I don't care. I will do everything in my power to win. So I'm not going to cheat or anything, but I'm a very passionate person when it comes to, and I'm very competitive. I have a 9-year-old nephew. He beat me in Connect 4 when he was 4 or 5 years old. Oh, and boy. The first time we played the first game, the first time he beat me, and he jumped around everywhere because he's never beaten me since. Or I think he's come close, but I won't intentionally let you beat me. You know, it's I did it with girls that I've dated, and like I said, a 5-year-old kid, my brother's like, I won't take it hard on him, but I'm not going to let him win. So when, it's just that's the way I was with my athletes too. Like Michael Jordan, I didn't like Sergio Garcia after he made some of the comments. Like just little things. I lived through my athletes is what I would say, or my team.
Who's one?
So I lived through my.
And not to make things negative, but, who's one athlete that, you'll just never like? You'll just never like him no matter what anyone says and it convinces you or how good he is. Who's just one guy you just, fuck this guy, man?
Oh, wow, there's a whole bunch of them.
Yeah, you could say a few if you wish to.
Let's say wrestling, I despise X-Pac. I have no respect for the guy.
He wrestled a match on meth in 2002 high against AJ Styles, who was on this show, actually. AJ Styles was on
Was he? Oh, sorry, then.
But,
it's just, you know what? And again, he played his role so good, and that could be why, personally, it could be. When I say I hate someone, especially, they're entertainers. So you have to look, yes, I'm not disparaging the talent he has. I'm looking at the acting part of him. He was such a good actor at being a bastard.
Shitty heel, good heel, a really good heel.
Yeah, he was a great heel. Hated
good
him.
at getting heat, just like I did at the office.
I thought he was one of the most talented people in the NWO, because during the NWO run, from what I remember, he was one of the only people who won his matches without cheating.
That's true. Actually,
if I remember correctly. And I remember pointing it out.
Of WCW.
During when they first came, he was one of the only ones who never had to cheat or never consistently cheated to win his matches. And I did admire that. And the guy had talent. I just didn't like him. His character. He did his character. He portrayed it so well. I just didn't like him.
What about football, baseball, or hockey? If you Out of those...
I mean, I'll respect Tom Brady, but I hate him for a
Fuck
passion.
you, Tom Brady. I don't like you
Yeah.
either.
I won't deny. I'll put him in the GOAT conversation. But I hate him. I just I don't like. I don't remember much about. Oh damn. San Francisco 49ers, Joe Montana. Me and my buddy used to argue about this. He was a Montana guy, and I hated Montana because.
Oh, you hate all the guys I like, man.
Well, and again, the only reason I said it, and I don't like Peyton Manning either, but Peyton Manning. Wait, though. But he came to my Broncos. I'm a big Broncos fan. I actually have a figurine of his.
Oh, nice.
I have one. I have a Nikolai Habibulin, believe it or not, from the Jets.
That's pretty solid.
I have a Peyton Manning, and the only reason I only liked him when he came to Denver. But he's the only quarterback in the NFL to win a Super Bowl with two teams. Now, what I meant about Montana was, okay, if he was a great quarterback, why didn't he win one in KC? It was KC he went to, right?
Yeah,
I believe. Yeah, but he didn't win one there. So to me, that meant that his team was successful. He was just a cog in the team. I mean, if Brady goes on to win one in Tampa Bay, I think that solidifies the point with him. He just had a great team and a great system. Denver,
Especially
one
the
thing
defense.
I'll say. Right, Denver, one thing I'll say with them is whatever their system was, they always produced a great running back. Whatever their system was, you put a running back in there and he ran 1,000 yards. No matter what. I mean, they just seem to change from year to year. Whatever their system was, it just worked. So that's what I'm saying when with some of these quarterbacks, sure, they're the greatest of all times, but put them on another team. Do they win with another coach, with another defensive system, with another set? You know, like I said, again, I wasn't a Manning fan until he joined them, but I think he goes up in the argument because he won with a different system. He broke every damn record with a brand new team the first year.
I remember that. The guy was.
We got embarrassed in the Super Bowl.
You guys got whomped.
Yeah, I remember drinking. And okay, so I'm sorry. This conversation. I hope this is a good podcast conversation.
Man, this is great so far, man. I love
I
this.
thought it was
Go as long as you
so
want.
great because I'm a Broncos fan, and we played Seattle. We got embarrassed. I accept it. I can take that. Because, it was the number one offense versus the number one defense. Everybody's like, oh, yeah, and I lost a lot of money but defense wins Super Bowl. Defense wins Super Bowl. That's all I heard for the next year. 2 years later, we go back to the Super Bowl. We're the better defense, and Carolina is the number one offense. All of a sudden, the Broncos are going to lose because offense wins Super Bowls. I'm like, just 2 effing years ago, you guys were telling me defense wins. Now that Denver has the best defense, you're like, offense wins. And what did we do? They showed the show. I was like, oh my God, you guys suck.
You just can't catch a fucking break.
No, and I told people before the game, I said, as long as Manning doesn't throw an interception until 2 minutes left, until the game is done, as long as he doesn't throw, I said if I was the coach, I wouldn't let Manning throw a ball over 15 yards. And sure enough, he didn't throw a ball over 15 yards. And he threw an interception with like 3 minutes left when it didn't matter.
Crazy shit.
It's like he was reading my mind back then, so they figured it out.
That's some crazy stuff. So X-Pac's your favorite. Let's talk about guys like you really enjoy, like some childhood heroes, favorite wrestlers.
Brett, wrestling, I can, in sports,
Start with wrestling, and then we'll go to football.
In wrestling, it started with Macho Man, Ricky Steamboat, Ultimate Warrior, Bret Hart, and then John Cena.
Nice.
Were probably the ones that I can remember.
John Cena's dad was on this show, actually.
Oh, really? And that's John.
Well, I wish. Maybe he listened.
No. Isn't John Cena's dad's name John? John Senior?
John Cena Senior.
Yeah.
I almost felt like getting rid of the SR, just get some more views, sneak some in there.
I would have said just John Cena. I don't know. That's false.
Worst
but I got
interview
John
I did, by
Cena.
the way.
What's that?
One of the worst interviews I ever did audio-wise.
Oh.
It just turned out fucking horrible. It was one of my biggest regrets in my career, actually. Funny fact.
I watched he was on the network. What was it? It was one of those, I forget what they're called. It was one of the where they explained their matches in the storyline. and they
Yeah.
talked about Edge and Lita going to John Cena Sr.'s house to film. And Edge actually, during the documentary, says John Cena, he said he was the worst guy to work with. He said, I don't know anything, I didn't hear the podcast with him, but he said it was one of the I don't know what it's called. Anyway, but he said him and Lita went to the thing, and I watched it. I watched the WWE. It was one of the Untold or Chronicles. That's what it was. It was either, I don't know if I'm allowed to say.
Yeah, you can
well,
swear.
obviously we can. No, I mean, but it was either an Untold or a Chronicle, and it was the match between Edge and Cena. It wasn't the ladder match that they recently did. It was one back in the day. And, yeah, they talked about John Cena Sr., and they said, yeah, he was the worst person to work with. They said it was and they came back, they aired it, and even Vince McMahon himself said we wasted our footage there. It's one of the worst things to do. Nothing against him or anything like that, but...
Yeah, sometimes that's how it goes. Like, I remember a lot of times in wrestling, there would be guys like I'd be afraid to work with, not afraid to work with, just mad. I don't want to work with them at all. I don't want to rep this guy's match. I remember that with Cena Sr., you know, I feel like it was such an early time. It was just right when I got out of high school. I wasn't ready. I was acting cocky, little punk-ass kid. And I feel like if I would have went back to development, which also known as the sales place, that I have been at a multiple amount of, and I did that for like about 3-4 months and developed a lot with my voice, I would have had a much better interview. So that's probably one of my regrets, is that it was way too early and I fucked up. And sometimes you have to accept responsibility, but you always look towards tomorrow and not the past. That's for sure.
Oh, exactly. I mean, you have to. What was it? If you don't learn from your mistakes, then you're not learning.
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, to say you're right all the time. I know one of my supervisors at work, he's right all the time, and I told him, well, if you're never wrong, you're never learning. So I mean, you do have to. I mean, it's what makes us grow. I'm 44 now, and I tell people, even during my calls, I'll be like, you know what? I wish, even if I could go back to my 20-year-old self, I was such a cocky guy. And so, I mean, I'm still a cocky person. I'm still arrogant. I'm still confident. But I've become a little wiser, and I do look at two sides of a coin now. Even if my 44-year-old self traveled back in time to my 20-year-old self, that I could see that it's myself. It's nobody else. It's me giving me the advice. I know my 20-year-old self still wouldn't listen, that he was that big-headed, that he was that... I just would have said, okay, well, if I know what's going to happen, I could just do this, and I'll still do it. You know what I mean? Like, I just try to figure out a loophole.
I got to give credit, too, because I remember at that place, you know, and obviously I don't want to name names, but
right.
they know who they are, and respect to all of them. You know, he told me that, and it still sticks with me to this day, and it always will. One day, it could be 1 year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, something's going to happen, and you're going to be humbled. And that's just going to happen
exactly.
one day. And I give credit to
humbling
that guy.
is actually, and again, when you're 19, 20, 25, most of them anyway, most of us, I won't say everybody, but humbling is not something you've learned. You know, I mean, it's not something you've learned at that young age. I mean, even if you did, you've learned the odd humble, but until you get beat a couple times or humiliated or proven that you're wrong, a couple times, you can get, like, I mean, if you look at some of these UFC fighters, guys like George St. Pierre or Ronda Rousey, I saw the documentary on GSP, who when they were they were obviously successful. When they became huge and they lost their first match, they couldn't come back. We all know the Ronda Rousey story, that she couldn't come back. GSP, I think it was called something about Wrestling with the Wolves. I don't know. I think that's the Bret Hart one. But GSP had one. I saw it a couple of years ago. And when he lost to the New Yorker guy from New York, he lost the first time to this guy. And he said he lost the match. No, sorry. And then when he didn't lose to, sorry. Anyway, I can't remember the two guys' names. Anyway, there was one match that he beat the guy, but he just lost in 30 seconds, so he didn't feel that he lost the match. But the second match, he went in overconfident. The second loss he had, he went in overconfident, and the guy beat him, solidly beat him. And he said he couldn't come back. And again, that's just like humbling, like I said, when you're successful or when you're young. You know, I mean, if you're successful, it's not a trait. And that's what I've learned with wisdom. You know, they say wisdom comes with age. I now finally understand it. getting a little, I mean, back in the day, if we had these conversations, I never would have thought about anybody else. It was my guy, and that's it.
No,
I wouldn't have wanted an open discussion. Now I can have an open discussion. Me and my uncle was here last week, and he likes a certain leader in the world that nobody seems to like. We'll just put it that. I don't know what names are. So, like I said, he likes this person, and I despise this leader of a country. But we had a civil conversation. It was very civil. I mean, you can watch the news right now. There's, these very same people aren't having those civil, but we had a civil conversation. And I even told him, I go, 20 years ago, I couldn't have this discussion. We would have fought. He would have broken, he would have been like, what did you just say? Pick up, break a beer bottle or, something like that. And it's like, yeah, it's just, it's nicer to have conversations. And, some people, I still work in the phone industry. Some people, I'm, like I told you earlier, I'm East Indian. I'm a Hindu. People attack my religion. I'm like, but I'll be like, I'm open to discussing about it, but don't attack me.
Exactly.
Don't tell me mine's wrong or anything. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. I mean, it's an opinion. An opinion. My dad told me once, he goes, if you believe a pencil is God, he goes, if you believe that, don't get me wrong, I don't believe a pencil, and my dad doesn't believe that. But he just told me that religion is a belief. So technically, it could be, people can have all kinds of religions. He goes, you can't disprove them, just let them talk. People who think the world is flat. Again, I'm not saying that the world isn't flat. But if there's any listeners out there that do believe the world is flat, I've asked one guy who believed the world was flat, and I asked him, I said, I'm not making fun of you. I just, like I said, I'd like to know, what if the world is flat? So I asked him, I said, so this is like this flat table. This is the world. He goes, yes. And it's a simple question. Again, it sounds funny, but it's not, because I'm actually curious, is what's on the bottom? Do you get what I mean? Like, yeah, I know exactly. We've gone completely off tangent here.
No.
What's on?
I need as much airtime as possible here, my man.
But I'm covering all kinds of people and different things that you want here. But if
I'm
the world
ready to
is
cover
flat,
something else after too. So I'm ready. I'm excited to for this topic and then what I'm going to say after. But I want to hear about this flat world thing on. So please go on, man. The floor is yours.
Well, no, I mean, think about it. If you have a table, right, a rectangle table. And again, I just want to completely say I'm not insulting people who believe the world is flat. That's your belief. Great. But so I asked the guy, I said, okay, so so picture a rectangle table, all the objects you have on your table.
Yeah.
Those are the countries. And the guy's like, yeah. I said, okay, so what's on the bottom? I says, is it just soil that's falling? Like, what's on the bottom? If there's no countries on the bottom, is it just dirt? Is it lava? Is it what? Like, what's on the bottom? For example, for a flat table, where you have gum on the bottom of your, some people, you go to a bar and there's gum on the bottom of the table. Well, yeah. What's on the bottom of the earth then, if it's flat? If you can picture the way I'm trying to ask the question. What's on the bottom of the, it would just be dirt. Like there's that, you know what? There's that scene in Avengers 2, where they lift the city up.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
So that would be a flat, like, is that what they claim? To be on the bottom of the world? Like, why? It's just a simple question. Not making fun of anybody. I'm just, what is on the bottom? I have no problems if people believe the world is flat, but I'm just curious, what's on the bottom?
Yeah, exactly. You know what? Honestly, I don't even fucking know. I smoke my weed. I do my podcasting. I don't think about shit like this, man. One thing I gotta tell you though, Sam, is this. I want to go back to the humbling thing there for a second because a week ago, myself, Jordan Garber, decided to do after work, after a long day, I did a little bit of, almost a tiny bit over a microdose of LSD. And after that, what do? I do a 1-hour news update. And I was able to pull off the best show of my life. Who's that pitcher? My question is, who's that pitcher who pitched that perfect game on acid? Who was that guy?
Oh, good God. I wouldn't know. That one I wouldn't know. I'm not a big baseball person.
Oh, yeah, I remember. But
not a big baseball person.
There's a
I know there's a guy. I know there was a guy who pitched in the baseball with one hand. I think his name was with it. I know the name. I know certain names, but I never really was into baseball. I played baseball when I was in grade 7, but never really watched or followed baseball. I know some events that have happened, but
I couldn't. Could you imagine that? Imagine going.
No, I can't. I don't know what. I mean, I've never done LSD, so I've heard. Is that acid?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
I've
heard stories about it that people were in the shower and they thought they were under a waterfall. Like it's apparently it's a huge hallucinogen, I guess.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Everything was colorful. By the way, listeners, they can check that out on the YouTube. That is up. And the craziest thing before we move on is that I never connected with an audience, and I've never been so humble in my life and so focused on like everybody else. It was cool, and there was like 200 comments. Everyone was commenting, and I was answering. It was a good vibe. So, shout out to that. So. I just thought I'd kind of like bring that up because we talked about the whole.
Well, until you put yourself in certain situations, certain shoes. Like it's a horrible example, but I mean, most kids when they grow up, you want to be a secret agent. I could be a secret agent. I could be a cop. Yeah, I could do that. I could be a thug. You know, I'm a big guy. I could beat people up. I had my tooth pulled in the dentist's office. He iced me and he pulled my molar, and I told him when it was done. I had such a cold sweat. I told him that if I was a secret agent, I would have told you all the bomb codes. I would have told you where the president was. I would have told, like, I knew at that point, this was a couple of years ago. I'm like, at that point, I would not have made a very good secret agent. I would have given, like, people say, oh, you know, there's, you know, car accident. Oh, it's a shame that you didn't save that person. You know, I would have saved that person's life. You don't know that you would have saved the person's life. I mean, it's nice to say that I would have ran out in traffic to help a child. And don't get me wrong, I would like to think that I would. But until that situation comes, you got to humble yourself or check reality. I mean, would you really do it? I mean, everybody will say yes. I've come to the point where I'm like, I don't know. I'd have to be in that situation. I would like to think I would, but, you know, reality is traffic's out there. I don't know that I'm going to exchange my life for that. I would like to think I would, but it's just a lot of us don't think on that broader scale anymore.
Exactly. They don't go down to the basics.
Doing a drug like Grand Fear cocaine back in the day. Good God. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
let's go back to that day.
Now how about that? I mean, that one I can talk about. Like, I mean, I played goalie in back in the day, and I played in cricket. I played a position called I played the wicketkeeper, which is a back catcher. So it's where all the action is. I couldn't imagine what Grant Fuhr was going. I mean, the action would have been on the other side of the rink, and he still must have been saving the damn puck. I mean,
he must have, like, I don't know, man. I don't know how he did it.
I heard stories that he was doing rails during, you know, the intermissions and stuff. I mean, everybody's going to make up stuff. I don't know anything
What's
for
next?
real.
Is there whiskey in his goalie bottle there on top?
But yeah, like, I couldn't imagine what that could, you know, you're just like, good God.
Do you think players would have done that? Goalies might have probably snuck some alcohol right in their Gatorade bottle, threw it on. Probably, right? It's a given.
Oh, I mean, back in the day, probably. I mean, Clint Malarchuk came back to play after having his neck sliced. He had to be drunk.
That was insane. I saw that on YouTube.
I remember that. I remember that night-ish. I remember seeing it, and then when he came back, I'm like, good God, you're crazy.
That guy's
so I mean, he had to be on something. I mean, as a joke, not saying that as a rule. I don't know. Don't want to, you know, in this society, you don't want to say something and then it comes back to haunt you. You know, so I am saying that in my opinion. Oh, there's the key word, in my opinion. I've learned that in the phone industry. Is say that in your opinion, because now you're okay. You're not saying that it's a fact or anything like that.
Exactly, and I'm sure that would work for you, right?
Yeah. Well, hey, in my opinion, that's what I call it. In my opinion, he had to be drunk when he came back. I mean, how could you not? I mean, you're on the ice and a skate slices your throat. I mean, just that's somebody stabbing you. If you worked at I worked at a convenience store. I never got robbed, but I couldn't imagine if I worked at a convenience store and I got stabbed.
That would be
terrifying. And then to go back to work at the convenience store and work the same shift with no security. You know what I mean? Like, what goes through your head to do that? Like,
survival.
I mean, Apu from The Simpsons, he's a hero, man. He's a national treasure that'll never be seen on TV again because what's his name doesn't want to voice the role anymore.
I know. I thought Apu was a great
Hank
character.
Azaria, that's it.
I don't think it was that stereotypical. I think Apu was pretty good.
think that was blown out of proportion.
Way out of proportion.
Oh, you know what? Hey, blown out of proportion. blown out of proportion. That leads you. This is a perfect transition to my controversial question. How about that?
Yeah,
Before we end the call.
No doubt about
Before
that.
we end the call, because I'm running out of.
And you got to work early tomorrow.
I'm at 21%, and it's past my bedtime too. So my controversial question is a perfect lead into it. Years ago, Colin Kaepernick would kneel during the anthem because of because of something racist that happened in the country, and he was showing his his disgust, blah blah blah, and I believed when people said it back then. I said I completely believe. I'm not a Colin Kaepernick fan. I think then the Broncos should have signed him when they booted him from the NFL. I think because he's a great talent. But anyway, I'm not a big. But when he did it, I'm like, I don't think, and I'm sure listeners, everybody jumped on this guy's case. But I didn't see why it was wrong. He was standing up for his belief, kneeling down for his belief. Years later, fast forward to now, after all these. And again, I'm not saying anything about the Me Too movements, Black Lives Matter. I mean, it's unfortunate that bad incidents have to happen for society to recognize this. But anyway, fast forward to today. Again, he was ridiculed. He was ostracized. He's been kicked from the NFL, it's been 4 years now at least. And now they're canceling playoff games because of the Black. And again, Black lives, I think all lives matter. Don't get me wrong. But you fast forward it now. And they still haven't brought this guy back out. What he did, he was a pioneer, if you look at it. And now I actually can't believe. Personally, I think that was going a little far, was to cancel the games. I understand the point, but, you guys are paid to do a job, and I think they should have played. How do you look at it?
You know what?
And again, take whichever view you want. Like I said, it's a very like I said, it's a highly it's an it's a topic that could lead to an argument depending on your group. But that was one of the things I was thinking about. I'm like, because I've always when he did it, I didn't think anything against it. I mean, but because 2016, another president was elected who had a different view on lives, and different view on people. I mean, and then 4 years later, I guess we saw where that culminated. But again, I think the guy was a pioneer, but he's never been. I think he was a pioneer, maybe not.
I completely agree. Why I say that is because, you know what, when it comes to following your heart and standing up for what you believe in and what you love, you were talking about, would I save that child, running down the street? Colin Kaepernick is literally a guy that took action to do as much as he could to stand up for his culture and his rights.
That's a great relay. Good analogy. Good tag back.
I know people are gonna get mad at me. I have a lot of Republicans that listen to this show, to be honest, and a lot of them are gonna say,
good thing I didn't name names.
You know what, though? At the same time, we also have a lot of Democrats, and I support all political views. I respect it, but in my personal opinion there with Kaepernick, you know what? He followed his heart. He did something that, people said they were going to do, but in the moment, would you? And he was one of the only ones.
You know what? And that's a great, you know what? I didn't even think about that, but that's a great way to think about it. Yeah. He did. That's a perfect example, analogy that you use going back to the kid in traffic. Would you do it? Everybody would say it, but would you? And yeah, you're absolutely right. He stood up for, and you know what? He got kicked out. He didn't bend.
I don't think
he
that's
literally.
fair.
I mean, I hate to use the jokes, bend the knee, blah blah blah, whatever you want to do. But he didn't stand up. He didn't stand up for his. I mean, that's a really bad joke. But I mean, he stood up for his beliefs by kneeling down, and he never stopped. They kicked him out. They fired him. And they still, and whatever, and he hasn't come back because of his beliefs, but his beliefs, everybody does it now.
Yeah,
but he was, I personally think he was the pioneer of it. I mean, I don't think any of us, and I'll be honest, I don't think I would have stuck on it if I was making millions of dollars and my owner told me, hey, I need you to, I'm going to be honest, this is just me. And I think a lot of people out there, if we were told, you better stand up or I'm not paying you your millions of dollars, regardless of whether we believed it or not, I'm pretty sure I would have stood up.
I
think
would,
I would stood up.
stand up too. I'd listen to them.
Exactly. Saying, okay, thank you for being honest. Yeah, I mean, and there's a perfect example of people saying whether they'd be honest or not. Quite frankly, I don't have. I mean, and Kaepernick wasn't a big millionaire at that point anyway. You know, it's not like he was in a 10-year career already. He hadn't accumulated a lot of money. Because you got to think, I hate to say it, but most youngsters, and this would go for any of us, most of us, the first year or two you really get some money, what do? You literally blow it. You know, whether it's family, I mean, you make up things with family things, buy girls things, buy whatever. So, I mean, I don't think that I wouldn't have thought that he had a savings or, you know, he was worth a lot at that point. He was a very marketable character, or a person. He was very marketable. He was going to go a lot of places. But to risk it all and then to stand up by it, stand up by kneeling down. Such a bad example, but that's such a bad way to say it. But I mean, the guy literally kneeled down his career, and I don't think many of us. Again, I would admit that, you know what, you tell me that everything's on the line, I would have stood back up and saluted, and I will admit that. I mean, I'm big enough to easily admit that, and you did too. I mean, how many people out there would follow that?
Definitely.
I totally agree. I think most of us would. I think. And, you know, the poor guy, you know, if he's out there, I'm Sammy Armigan. I don't know if I'm supposed to say my last name. Sorry.
You can say your last name if you wish to. That's up to you.
Yeah, I'm Sammy Armigan. I do believe in what he did back then, and I think it's unfortunate that he hasn't come back yet. So.
Absolutely.
I mean, I said when Broncos signed after Manning retired, I said, and they went after somebody, and I said, fuck, go get. I said, if I could, because Elway was my favorite character back in the day, because the only reason I ended up liking Elway was because my dad said he looked like a horse. So my dad didn't like his teeth. He made fun of his teeth all the time. My dad was a big Marino. If he was a Pittsburgh fan, then Marino. So he's like, look at this guy. He looks like a horse. And I'm like, okay, well, I want to like this horse guy. So that's not it's not an insult on Elway. That's why I became a huge fan of his. But yeah, I really think that they should have signed him. But again, because of the leadership of the country and stuff like that, I think that was one of the big reasons. But you know, and I mean, even when they canceled the games, the leadership of the country was against it. But I don't want to get into a political type discussion here. But
no, man.
Yeah, that was my controversial comment anyway. So. And
I have certainly definitely appreciate that.
And our 10-minute conversation turned into
45 minutes. But you know what?
I think you should know that when it. I mean,
you're going to be the star, though.
Each other.
You're going to be the star, though, because this is all going to be up.
We know each other. I could go. I mean, you know what? You know, we'll schedule. You know, if we get good feedback on this, or if people do, you know what? If people want me, I'll call in. You know, I'll come up with other things, and I can come up with all kinds of discussions. Like I said, our farm trip. Again, a shout out to my farm guys, my brothers Sean, Ian, Colin, Pedro, and their father, Mr. Pick. Oops, shouldn't have said his name. But this is what we do on the weekends. We talked about movies, or we talk about this and that, or you know, and the whole weekend, because we were unplugged, was just a conversation. Like I said, that greatest of all time. I'm still getting messages in our WhatsApp chat. I messaged them. I want to say last Friday. I said, hey, I'm gonna call in the Jordan Garber show. They went and looked you up. Colin made sure he went. He wanted to make sure that I was calling into a solid podcast, and I said, yeah, I am. And he looked you up, found you, and he said, no, that looks like it's a pretty good podcast. And I told him, and then he said, he brought up a couple questions, and I said, well, what about this? And he goes, that's a great question. And of course, since I did that, since Friday, we've been discussing it once a day, since then, and it's just one of those discussions. And we didn't even touch a lot of the sports, right? I mean, I don't know many others, but. But I do have to get going.
Yeah, no problem. And you are invited to be on again there, Sammy. And once again, this whole thing will be up, and I appreciate you calling in, and you're more than welcome anytime.
No, that'd be awesome. Everybody out there, you guys have a safe night. And Jordan, this is great.
Absolutely. Sammy Armigan on the Jordan Garber Now podcast.
Thanks again, guys. Bye-bye.
Newest and hottest in the world of pro wrestling. Then check out the amazing action on Powerslam.tv, the biggest indie pro wrestling channel in the world. Get over 6,000 hours of the best events from over 150 of your favorite promotions from 20 different countries around the globe. Brands like Progress Wrestling, Evolve Wrestling, Combat Zone, Defy, PCW Ultra, PWX, Over the Top, Shine, and hundreds of others with fresh content added every day for only $5.99 per month. Get your free trial today at Powerslam.tv.
You heard them. Use promo code POWERSLAM now. Well, that was pretty incredible. See, guys, that's what I want our callers to do here. Call in, speak your voice, speak as long as you want. Talk about sports, wrestling, any topic necessary. That's what the Jordan Garber Now podcast is about. And Sammy definitely took advantage of that airtime. You got to give him credit where credit is due. He might be listened to the most on this one episode. So definitely a great segment here on the program. But we still have a lot more to come, including our news segment coming up next with Open Talk 313 The Flash 311's. Mr. Cruz coming up next on the Jordan Garber Now podcast. Are you that wrestling fan looking for that perfect television package to meet your needs? Well, Real Aid Media has the perfect option for you. With the Wrestling Box promo, you pay for the box for $199.95. After that, you're only paying $29.95 per month with no contracts and no obligations. Real Aid Media also provides marketing services operating in 5 countries. To book an appointment or to get your wrestling package, go to stevenbenzelock.bookify.com. That's Steven Benzelock at bookify.com. Check it out. Real Aid Media, providing great wrestling content for a cheap price. Alright, it is the news portion time of the Jordan Garber Now podcast. We still don't have a definite co-host, so we're switching sides. We're talking to some of the best wrestling podcasters in the business. And I'm going to let him introduce himself here. Who do I have here on the line with me?
All right, everybody. If you don't know me, I'm pretty sure I'm new to everybody to this show, but my name is the Southwest Texan, Dede Cruz. I'm from the Rated R Wrestling Podcast 313, from Open Talk Radio 313 The Flash. How's it going, everybody? What's going on, Jordan Garber? How you doing, brother?
I'm doing really good, man. I remember calling into a lot of your shows before. Can I call you Mr. Cruz? Is that okay if I do that?
Oh, man, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
no
Mr.
problem,
Cruz, I called into your show, and, I always enjoyed your product. And, Open Talk 313 The Flash was a huge breaking point for myself, because we did the Luke Gallows interview with Martez, and oh my goodness, we got so much publicity as a team, and I was really happy to be a part of that, and then get to call into your shows, because the way I look at it, yeah, quality is very important, but in wrestling podcasting, I like quality and also quantity, because every show is not going to be a good one. I like calling into different shows and getting my name out there. It makes me feel like I'm on the indies or something. So it's a good feeling, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, man, it's always something different when you call into somebody else's show and then you get your name out there. It's like my YouTube channel over there on at Deathmatch Wrestling Podcast 313. It's a whole different thing. It's a whole different feeling from that to what we do over at the Flash, and it's fun. It's different because we actually get live calls, and you're getting your name out there at the same time. And like you said, with the interview we did with Luke Gallows, man, we got so much as a team publicity, and that's what actually it's about, that, helping each other out and getting our names out there, and then, getting, eventually getting to where we want to be.
No doubt about that. Like, you say Deathmatch Wrestling, was that your main influence to be a wrestling podcaster, or were there other influences as well?
I actually started off, I'm going to give you, the kind of short story to my thing. I started off with one of my ex, co-hosts. Things didn't work out between us. Long story short, it was going to be a pro wrestling, podcast, but we ended up showing up at Horseland. They did, pro wrestling matches, and they did death matches. And deathmatch actually caught my eye, and then they started bringing in wrestlers from GCW. If you don't know what GCW is, guys, check that out. It's Game Changing Wrestling. Game Changing Wrestling, GCW, man. I know, I hung out with a lot of the wrestlers from there because of Horror Slam. Shout out to Byron Wellington and Rachel Green. If you guys check out the Deathmatch Wrestling Podcast 313, you'll have matches from Horror Slam before they teamed up with Smart Mark and spooky videos. But man, such great talent, and we got a lot of great talent over here in the Midwest, where and even in the Indies period, where you get a lot of them that you're watching on Impact, like actually Trey Miguel and the Rascals. I'm gonna bring up some news for right now.
They're going to WWE, aren't they?
Yeah, they're going to WWE. The Rascals.
And they were on your show.
They were Jordan. I was trying to get Trey Miguel's, but communication problems. You know what I'm saying? But I actually got the chance to actually hang out with him after his match. That he used my mask. I had my mask. As I was recording, I had my mask on my seat where I was going to be sitting, and he grabbed my mask and used it in the match against Malcolm Monroe III. And actually, he used that mask, and after that, we hung out. He signed it. We took pictures. You know what I'm saying? And
awesome,
so on and so forth. Yeah, it was fun. And Trey Miguel is actually a great guy outside the ring. You know what I'm saying? As long as you don't piss off anybody, you know what I'm saying, they're gonna be a good, good-hearted person. They're actually humble. But yeah, man, I can't wait to see the Rascals actually do something in WWE. They did great in Impact Wrestling. They took that to a whole new level, and there's somewhat of they could cross paths with the Street Profits since they want the smoke, because the Rascals is all about that smoke.
Oh, no doubt about that. They are all about the smoke, that's for sure. But
oh yeah,
what do you think's been the hottest topic, this past week in pro wrestling news? Despite the coronavirus and everything, I want to actually touch up on that quickly. I want to tell everyone to be safe right now, because I'm in the worst part where you can get it. I'm in Winnipeg, Canada, which is the hardest, the place where people are getting the virus the most. And I was actually having a very good conversation about this earlier with somebody. Is with it being lockdown, now's not the time to go and, cruise with your friends and, mess around. And this was me 2 weeks ago. I'm at fault. But now I'm actually realizing how important this is. Now's not the time to go around, cruise with your friends, party and listen to music. You should be in your homes, locking down, because the more people that are doing shit like this, the more numbers are going to increase. And it's just, if you go to the grocery store, I get it. That's fine. I have to get milk. It's not really essential, but fuck, I want some milk. I'm going to do it. But, you can't go out and, cruise with people unless it's just, with another person. People got to be really smart about this and really care about the people that they're living with and how and who it could affect. And I just want to spread that message out there. How is the coronavirus in your area before we get to wrestling news?
It's actually getting worse over here too. We're ready to get locked down. Me and my girlfriend actually, yeah, we're getting to that stage because everybody's we're going to the stores and toilet paper's gone, water's starting to be gone.
Oh, you guys
things
are still
like
about
that
that shit with the toilet paper? That's so March. People are.
I
still
know,
that?
That's what I'm pretty sure they are. I'm not.
Because
I got enough toilet paper to wipe my ass till next year. I had still got some. I bought a whole bunch, but whatnot. But it's getting bad over here. Schools are going to lockdown again. The kids are starting to stay home by Monday. So, it's all going to be locked down by probably the end of this week for us.
It's when the world depends on our youth. Let's go back to Remembrance Day. If some of those soldiers that passed away and they looked at, what we're doing now to, how much respect that the world is really showing towards these countries with handling this virus. It's terrible. They would be disappointed. The youth is supposed to set an example. It's up to the youth right now, and people in my age group, they don't give a fuck, and it's terrible.
Yeah, it is. It's actually very terrible because you got to think about it. we're all dying, and I mean, I'm up in my 30s. You know, I'm not that young, but I'm not that old. But at the same time, these younger kids, like I actually just did a surgery. I had a surgery, and the doctors that did my surgery, they looked, if not my age, a little bit younger. And I'm like, these doctors are getting younger and younger as they go. And even, you know, law enforcement, everything, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, they're not caring about what's going on. They're just caring about their own self and what they got, you know what I'm saying? And I don't see anybody caring, from the cops to the people that were, well, some people, you know what I'm saying, that are doing what they're doing, hanging out and not even caring about what's going on.
No, exactly. You know, people just got to be aware. That's all. And I just like to spread that message out there. I might, as of this recording, I'm not too sure yet. I might be getting someone on the podcast to talk about that who is anonymous, but I'm going to get them on to discuss it because they're very passionate about the topic. But let's talk about AEW right now. AEW is still providing a solid product, and you know what? They're doing the taping safely, and they're following all the precautions to the government's orders. So I feel like they're putting on a great product, and I'm still enjoying the ratings war with NXT. Which one are you leaning more towards watching right now?
I mean, I'm doing what I did with the Monday Night Wars, to be honest, and I watch both. I watch both, and I mean, AEW's given a solid product. You know, NXT's always given, you know what I'm saying, what they've done since the beginning of since they made it a brand, and it wasn't like competition. NXT has always put on a show. That's why they put on an NXT takeover before any main roster pay-per-view or whatnot, or if not, do what they did last year with the Survivor Series and put NXT. And if you put NXT against the main roster like they did at Survivor Series, NXT tore it up. You know what I'm saying? But you got AEW, which is running against NXT, and they're giving out a solid product, you know. But sometimes, they got their botches and they got, their mess ups, and that goes with any show because WWE's been doing this for generations. WWE's made a show, they made a show for TV, and they've done it for years. Of course, you got Jericho, you got Cody, you got, Arn Anderson that's going to be helping with television and stuff, but you got to think about it. The Khans have never done that in their life. They've done the NFL, whatnot, but, the television stations take care of that. But the WWE has been doing it from the family to the, through the generations. So you can't really compete with the WWE on their television product. You can beat them by demo, by their age and whatnot, but when it comes to television, not touch man on the wrestling, the sports entertainment.
No, I can agree with that. No one's going to compete with the best, that's for sure. But it's just, is wrestling? What's the state of wrestling going to be if this coronavirus gets worse? Are there still going to be shows? Like, what do you think? What's going to happen here? Are we nearing the tip of the iceberg, or is there always going to be television?
I think to be honest, man, look what happened in March. You know what I'm saying? Me and Martez were going to meet up and go to SmackDown. We were going to go to SmackDown that day when they actually canceled it and made the first one into the fucking PC, into the Performance Center. Yeah. And, they did that out of precaution. They didn't even know if they wanted to do that. Remember, they didn't even know if they wanted to do that. They just probably wanted to cancel altogether and like, damn, let's throw something on the wall and see what sticks. But, there's indie promotions like Horror Slam where they did undisclosed locations throughout the summer and had a big success. And there's, ones that followed after that, like GCW. They went to go do a backyard thing, which turned out to be a big success. And, there's other indie promotions around the world, not just here in Michigan or over in Canada, because I know there's promotions over there, BCW, Blue Water Champion, or Border City Wrestling. There you go. I'm sorry. But,
no worries.
Yeah.
We also have CWE here. There's actually a few up here in Canada. I can give a shout out to a few in Winnipeg. Premier Championship Wrestling, ref there for 3 years. Canadian Wrestling Elite, used to do the Snake Pit there, and then wrestled in the Battle Royal And then I got body slammed by Jacob Creed. I was so mad because I was doing a live snake pit. I messed up the show. I was in a bad mood, so I go and stun Kevin Cannon and make him kiss Shadow Extreme's ass. So yeah, I have a few experiences with Canadian wrestling, and I did the Tony Candela Loader and Death tour, so I'm pretty pumped.
Yeah, cool. That's pretty cool. But
But
this past summer, I had a grudge with a manager over here by the name of Jeremiah Goldman. He challenged me to a drinking contest at a show this past summer, and he tried to cheat his way out of it and had other competitors. But I got the footage and the proof that I'm the one that beat him if it would have been a one-on-one matchup.
really, is that right?
Yeah, and then on the show at the Rated R, man, we made matches happen. Like we had Capital Vices. I don't know if you've seen them on AEW Dark a few months back. They came from over there in Maryland, from where they're from, and to come to Michigan and wrestle for the Pro Wrestling All Stars Tag Team Championships. Yeah, man, a lot of stuff happens, man. It's actually fun. But man, like I said, with the indie promotions, there's gonna always be wrestling, because indie promotions, that's how promoters make their money, and that's how and the wrestlers love to put on a great show for the fans, nonetheless, because that's what it is. It's a form of art that the wrestlers love to do, and wrestling is not gonna stop. Maybe WWE is gonna put a halt on it if even AEW, if it comes down to it. But you're always going to have an indie promotion that's going to want to throw on a show. Because AEW and WWE do it for a reason. That's to protect their stars and whatnot. I'm not saying that the indie promoters don't care about the wrestlers. But WWE and AEW have more of an obligation to do
More
it.
value.
Yeah, there you go.
That's pretty intensive, though, like, with how they're handling this. But it's good to see that they're still wrestling, covering all parts of the world. Like, they have wrestling down there in Japan still, I believe, with New Japan, with what they're doing, and also some other places. So, have you been following any New Japan or international products or anything? Or just
New Japan is actually going, they done their tournament, and then they got Blade, what's his name? Oh, Jesus, Lord, how am I going to forget his name? Switchblade.
Oh, okay.
He won the suitcase to go against the Intercontinental / Heavyweight Champion at Wrestle Kingdom 15 this year. So I guess they're gonna keep on continuing to do what they're doing, just like Impact. Impact, I believe, is actually throwing on a great product right now. Impact is actually doing something.
No, they are doing a great job. I'm a big fan of Deonna Purrazzo and that storyline they're doing. Like, they've really been making things happen, you know? Every time a pitch has been thrown, even a curveball or a changeup, they're hitting it, and they're at least getting the first or second base. And it's good to see them continue to do that, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Can you do me a big favor, boss?
Yeah, what's going on, man?
I just got myself some stuff at the front door, like some pennants and stuff like that. I'm just going to go pick it up. Can you discuss Ring of Honor right now? And I'll be back in like 1 minute exactly. You're the man. The floor is yours. Are you still there? Hello?
Hello? Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Okay, yeah. Can you go discuss Ring of Honor for like exactly 1 minute? I just got to pick up some stuff at the front door.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, my man. The floor is yours.
All right. Appreciate it. So, yeah, everybody, Ring of Honor, man, what a show they're going to have. They're going to have a lot going on. They got a lot going on. They had new champion, Jonathan Gresham, put on. So they got him going, doing a lot of things. They got the Brody King going on to their podcast, to the Ring of Honor Strong podcast. I wonder what he's got going on over there. And man, just a lot going on in the Ring of Honor. I really can't, top it all off, or you know what I'm saying, speak about it all. But Kenny King and everybody, they're gonna have a lot going on too. Let me see. Sorry, everybody. I'm trying to get the news going right here. Oh man, they got Kenny King going against Shane Taylor this week coming up. That's gonna be a banger of a match. Them two behemoth guys, man. Them guys are gonna throw something. They're gonna tear it up in the ring. And Velvet Sky got some kind of thing going on. Let's see. Oh man, Shan Taylor and the Soldiers of Savages. They went against EC3 and the Briscoes. That was I didn't actually see that match, but I can imagine what kind of a match that would be. Oh man, it says that EC3 had highly anticipated in-ring debut for Ring of Honor also.
All right, guys, I am back.
Oh man, welcome back.
All right, sorry about that. Got a nice package gift there from a fan. I'm excited to open that. One of our main contributors, so I'm really pumped up about that. But what were you talking about Ring of Honor here? Were you able to go okay and talk about that, all that stuff? How'd that go?
I didn't really actually get to watch it, to be honest.
Oh,
I
that's
was
okay.
actually, yeah. And
No
then how Kenny King's gonna go against Shane Taylor. Or Taylor, Taylor.
Shane Taylor's a great guy, man. Same with Kenny King. I actually remember meeting Kenny King down there in Milwaukee, and he's just such a good guy. Shane Taylor as well. Got to interview him back when I was with Pin the Shoulders podcast like 3 years ago. Such a good guy, incredible talent, and you just learn so much from a guy like that. That's for sure. So yeah, I think we covered Ring of Honor, AEW, WWE, things along those lines. Let's talk about some like local independent shows. Like, what are some local shows that you went to that like you kind of have memories of looking back? What are some memories of some shows that you had in your area looking back before we get to some plugs and stuff like that? Like, what are some memories that you had in your area with shows and everything? All right, guys. I think we lost him, but I can tell you guys some of my memories of shows in my area. Honestly, I remember going. Are you still there now?
Oh, yeah, I'm here.
Sorry about that. So what I was saying is, what are some memories of your some shows in your area or region? Like,
actually, there's been a whole lot of them, man. This whole summer's been full of like I said, wrestling memories, man. Like I said, Capital Vices. They came out from Maryland to come out and fight the PWAS Tag Team Champions when it was Hot and Beautiful Percy Drews and Peter B. Beautiful. I don't know if you ever heard of him. Peter B. Beautiful, man. He's big in deathmatch. He's a deathmatch. Yeah, that's my guy, man. I hang out with him every time I go to a wrestling event, man. Cool guy. But nonetheless, man, Capital Vices versus Hot and Beautiful for the PWAS Tag Team Championship. What a great match, and what a great series of matches they had. They had about 3 matches for them tag team titles, and every time I believe Capital Vices should have been the PWAS Tag Team Champions, but I mean they got screwed every time out of the match. But Horseland, man, they had Trey Miguel. Like I said, Trey Miguel came to Michigan. Shogun, actually, Heath Slater and Rhino came to XICW and won their tag team championships from DBA, which is Malcolm Monroe II, the godfather of independent wrestling up here in Michigan, and Jamie Cock.
Oh,
that
wow.
was one. Yeah, Heath Slater and Rhino came and won their tag team titles.
Wow, that's crazy, man. Yeah, you definitely have a hot area of wrestling, and like I was saying, we certainly do in our region as well. Where can people follow your podcast on social media, and where can people follow you individually on social media?
You can reach if you're interested in deathmatch. I mean, even if not, check it out. Like, share, and subscribe to Deathmatch Wrestling Podcast 313 on YouTube, And then you can go on to Blog Talk Radio and check out the Rated R Wrestling Podcast. Me and my brother Greg and Mark. Such a great show, very unpredictable. You never know what you're going to get, but we always have something good and going on that show. And then you can reach me on Facebook at the Southwest Texas Day Cruise. The Southwest part is abbreviated as SWTXN. Day is spelled DEDAY, Crew, on Facebook.
Wow, well, I have to thank you so much there, Mr. Cruz, for your amazing contributions here on the Jordan Garber Now podcast. Before we wrap things up, is there message you have for the fans out there in your area and to stay safe out there?
Well, everybody stay safe, most definitely, anywhere in the world, wherever this is being heard. And everybody in Michigan, I can't wait to return to Open Talk Radio, The Flash 313. And I love you guys. And Jordan, thank you again for having me on your show. And we'll be having you back on our show soon. And it's going to be at least till mid-January that we get back on. So, I mean, it'll be a little while, but for sure. And then maybe one day you'll come out and check out one of our shows. And likewise, we'll do the same.
Absolutely. It'd be an honor and a pleasure to do such a thing. And I appreciate your contributions here tonight on the Jordan Garber Now podcast. You're going to get your $5 Applebee's gift card. I'm just bugging you. But no, I will. You definitely are welcome on anytime, and we appreciate the support. I got some card sets, I got some magnets, I got some stuff. I got like $5 gift cards, so let me know. I'll send you something out your way, and some cards too.
All right, man. No problem, man. Appreciate it. Anytime, man. I would love to be on there anytime.
All right, man. You take it easy. Looks like we got some news delivered here on the Jordan Garber Now podcast, but we're going to continue things with Ratboy coming up next. Are you a wrestling fan? And do you like collecting wrestling merchandise? Well, Hot Shots Retro Rewind and Wrestling Collectibles is the place for you. They have t-shirts, action figures, DVDs, and autographs available. Check it out. Hot Shots Retro Rewind and Wrestling Collectibles on their public Facebook group. Alright, at this time, pretty much I issue anybody to come on this podcast. I am welcoming anybody onto my show right now. There's some open air time, open mic night, so come on. It could be Santa Claus, it could be Mrs. Claus, it could be, I don't know, it could be Burt Reynolds. That would be amazing if it was Burt Reynolds. It could be Jerry Seinfeld, which would be amazing because he's Jewish. I invite anybody to come on. Come on, give it your best shot. I want anybody right now who's been in the podcasting game to be on the Jordan Garber Now podcast. Who's it gonna be? Come on, who? I'm not joking here. I'm issuing a challenge to anybody right now. Who is gonna be on the Jordan Garber Now podcast? If anybody.
Yeah, who? Me.
And
Pick me.
Who the hell are you? Can you introduce yourself? What's going on here?
I'm the legendary, the VOC, Ratboy from
What?
the VOCNation, brother.
No, come on, man. I didn't issue
That's
this
right,
in.
brother. I'm from the VOCNation.
And you're coming on my...
I am.
Oh, my
Hey,
goodness.
Yeah, I'm getting too little old for this stuff now, But I'm here. I am here
Oh, my goodness.
to
Ratboy.
talk to you, to everybody, all my fans.
Oh, boy. Ratboy, you continue to amaze me with your antics and your tricks, coming here on the Jordan Garber Now podcast. You at least have to have a slice of the cake and issue an invitation, but I'm still going to share some of the cake with you. What you been up to, my man?
Just hanging low, because I just lost my girlfriend back in April, or, a week after my birthday, and,
Boo!
it's going downhill for me,
I'm sorry that happened. But you know what? She doesn't know what she lost, right?
Yeah, I lost a lot.
No, I
Put
hear
it
you.
that way.
I
You know,
definitely.
it's hard for me right now. You know, cope with it and all. You know, it seems like she was just here yesterday,
Yeah, I know what you
but
mean.
you know,
Women break
and
hearts.
she told, hey, the last message I got from her from the hospital before she left, she texted me, don't worry about me. Don't, you know, I said, okay. I'm not worrying about her, but hey, I do miss her a lot.
And like, if you don't mind me asking, did you at least get to like third base or home plate with her?
What?
Like when it comes down to like the basics, like have you did you get to third base or did you get out?
Oh, I'm not saying a word about that stuff because
Oh,
that's my
I totally respect that.
privately stuff. That's my privately stuff. I cannot get into that stuff.
Obviously not, obviously, but you know what?
You know,
A day at a time,
it
right?
just hurts when I just talk about her once in a while, and that's one. That's where I draw the line. That when we talk about that stuff, I'm not going to talk about it.
Oh, I totally hear you. No, I totally understand. You know, I recently had an issue with a lady too, and it really broke my heart. Apparently, like, you know, you're now I kind of hear your point of view on it because, like, I kind of don't want to go into details either. See now, wow, now I know how it feels. But she had this boyfriend, and like I don't even know, like when I was hanging out with her, if she had a boyfriend the whole time. It was pretty crazy. But the thing is that I didn't even talk to her much, but I liked her a lot, so. It was one of those crazy scenarios, but your situation seems a lot more rough. And
Yeah,
yeah, it's crazy, man. Women are just they're heartbreakers, and that's why I was like saying single sometimes. Sometimes it's good to focus on you in all seriousness, right?
yeah. Well, between me and her, we had we don't talk about that kind of stuff. You know, we talk about it in the bedroom underneath the covers. We talk about it.
Looks like you got
You
a
know.
call. But yeah, I know, I totally hear you. What's some advice to some guys that are like single to avoid them getting hurt?
Oh man, it took me a long time to get this one.
Yeah.
You know, and the best place to pick up a girl is I tell you everybody where to pick up a nice girl at that you don't know about at the bingo hall because that's where I first met her at the bingo hall.
Oh wow.
And she's the one that used to say 49. She's every time when G49 comes out, she goes 49, and everybody says shut up, get out of the building or something like that. You know, I stuck by her and one day I didn't go to bingo and she was there. She asked my mom about she needed some advice. She I called her and told her what she could do, and after that we just hit it off. Went straight forward, you know, going out together. She moved in here with me, and she's been here for the last 3 years.
Wow. That's crazy.
It is, you know, and it really hurts to see somebody go like this, you know. Last time I seen her, when they were taking her out in an ambulance. That's the last time I seen her.
Now, Ratboy, you're on the Snapchat exclusive, actually, in terms of this, in terms of relationship advice. Basically for... sorry.
Well, what is that? Just be honest with yourself.
No,
To these
absolutely.
ladies, you know, and you know, you got to stare them out first. You see what they like, see what kind of mood they're in. you don't just go up to a girl and say, yo, I like it. Want to go out with me? No, you got to see what kind of mood they're in first.
Most likely Sean.
They're in a mood, they go in and all that other stuff. Then you make a move, make a couple jokes first. Then all of a sudden, just buy them a drink and that's it.
So, Ratboy, you're from VOCNation. Great to, if everyone doesn't know, that's a leading wrestling network. Where do you recommend women go for dinner? Where do you go on your dates? Do you get pasta, pizza, Indian food, whatever the fuck? Sorry, whatever else there is to eat. What do you get?
We went to a Chinese buffet. That's the best place to go. All you could eat for one price. All you could eat anything you want. Or maybe a Golden Corral.
Golden
buffet.
Corral, they don't have that in Canada, I don't think.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
They say, just go up to a girl and say, hey, I'd like to buy you a cheap dinner. Let's go to McDonald's. That's a cheap dinner.
No, McDonald's isn't that good, man. Like, you gotta step it up for one. Start from that. Like, why don't you do, like...
It is, but to my girlfriend, when I say let's go eat somewhere, we go to Burger King or McDonald's or
I
KFC.
love Burger King. Burger King's top notch.
You know?
It's KFC.
But she's not out for those big luxury restaurants or nothing like that, except for the Olive Garden. She loves the Olive Garden.
Olive Garden, see, that's a good choice. You know,
yes, the Olive Garden.
Like, Olive Garden is a place I'd go for a real date. McDonald's is a place I'd go for, like, a hook. I wouldn't say it like that, but Olive Garden is a class up on a date. When you take a girl to McDonald's, it's kind of like, if it's a first date, it's a hooker date. If it's, like, 3-year relationship, that's fine. You know what I mean, Ratboy? And you keep it real. Like, you got a 3-year relationship. I've had none, so, well, no real ones. Cause
I know one night, right? She said, let's get in the car. We got in the car, right? We took a ride to Carvel's, get some ice cream, right?
Yeah.
She said, oh, forget this Carvel's, right? She took me somewhere where she used to live at, about 50 miles away from here, right? To a little ice cream place. Man, they made the best banana splits ever. I was shocked. She drove 50 miles out of the way just to take me to this one ice cream place. Instead of Carvel's. Ain't that something or what?
That's amazing. That's a woman right there.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Plus we treated her to the Park Casino, here in Philadelphia. The Philadelphia outskirts. 'Cause I live on the Jersey side. We're Jersey people. And, sometimes when we go there and we stay all night, they got this one little place in a casino called Fuji, and they got the best cheesesteaks ever.
Oh, yeah, cheese sticks are good.
Yes. And it just blows my mind the way she does things, and...
Do you know what I love doing? I love taking girls, or I should say women, obviously. I should say women to steakhouses. Because if I take a woman to a steakhouse, it makes me look classy, and I love steak anyways, so I just take them there because it's the easiest. What do you think about steakhouses? Like, just as, Christmas date or some shit.
I love steakhouses.
I love that.
That's one thing, and especially for me, I like ribs.
I love ribs.
Ribs are my specialty. Because every time, sometimes when she calls up and orders something, she always orders me ribs.
Oh, are you serious? Okay, now she's a keeper.
Yes, she was a keeper.
She was a keeper.
But now she's... Rest in peace, Linda. My girl. That was her name, Linda.
I'm very mad at you, Linda. But Ratboy, you're going to find yourself a beautiful woman soon. I watched Employee of the Month, a very good movie. You could land Jessica Simpson because you are better than Vince.
Mm-hmm.
You watch that movie?
Yep.
It's a good movie. Employee of the Month with, who's in it? Jessica Simpson and... Fuck, who else? I forget. I totally forget. But...
For her, she... You know, when we first started out, we were in the same room, but I had a spare room. I moved all my stuff into my computer, my bed. You know, I put the bed. I had a bed in there already. You know, and I started sleeping in there. And she said, "Oh, you dragging me off?" I said, "No."
Hey, I thought you didn't want to get to that
I
category.
said, you know.
That's a little, I don't know. If you want to go there, you can go there. I respect your situation, though.
We were both in separate rooms, but we still love each other. Put it that way.
I hear you. I remember the last...
You know?
You say jacked off.
Because she likes to watch some of those really, really scary movies, bloody movies, you know.
Oh, movies. Yeah, those are good movies. I'm scared of scary movies.
For me, you know, I watch a scary movie with her, and all of a sudden, the next day, she scares me.
What?
Yeah, she scares me all the time.
That's crazy, man. Holy fuck.
She walks by the room and go, boo! And I jump. I said, you scared me.
Well, you
You know, that's a fun relationship, you know? But we were still together, we had fun, and it was crazy, you know, for the last 3 years with her.
it's like a banana slide or
But
whatever they call it.
She did tell me if I had to do a wrestling show, I'm there. She didn't care.
It's crazy.
Because, remember Aaron Gainey died during the nightmare?
I heard of him. He died too.
Yes, I went to his funeral. And this is the same time when she was going out with me. I said, well, I have to go to a funeral and see my best buddy laid out and all. She said, okay, go. This past year, they had a wrestling show back in February. There was a wrestling show in Philadelphia. I asked her if she wants to go. She said, no, you can go. Go. I'll be okay. She would let me do anything I wanted. Really, you know? But when I mentioned Park Casino or Atlantic City, she's got to go. Put it that way.
You gotta do you.
Yeah, she was the best, Linda. Now, let's get into a little bit of history about me. Okay?
Alrighty.
Alright. I started watching my wrestling back in '84.
Holy fuck.
Right till I got out of high school. The first match I saw was Superfly Snuka versus Tom Morocco in a steel cage. Televised on TV with my grandfather. Okay? My grandfather passed it that year. I started watching wrestling. One day, this guy, right, over from my friend's house, said, come with me. I said, where are we going? He said, I got to go back to my house in Warrenboro. I said, okay, fine. Went there, right? Saw this big giant guy holding up a Volkswagen, right? And this one guy was putting the wheels on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, who's that? Oh, don't worry about them. They're entertainers. I said, oh, okay, right? I said, right next door to his house, right? His name was Harry. I said, Harry, what kind of entertainers are they? Oh, I can't tell you because they don't want no social media to know who they are and all that other stuff, right? Before even we heard of the internet and all that other stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Went home that night, okay? Put on my wrestling. Guess who I seen? The real big guy holding up the Volkswagen, no other than Andre the Giant.
Wow.
Okay? Was fixing a Volkswagen for Brother Monsoon. I want, no way. Right? I went to go back and see Harry. I said, Harry, can you take me back to your house so I can see Andre the Giant and Gorilla Monsoon? No, they're going. They're going on tour. I said, oh man. After that, I never saw Harry again. What happened was that went to a couple of wrestling shows. There's this one wrestler. The guy name was Dennis Corluzzo. He was the owner of the NWA here in New Jersey. Spot me around ringside. No other than Bubba Ray. No other than Dudley came up to me. And I said, yo, how you like to do some work for us? I said, sure, why not? They took me in the back. I met Dennis Corluzzo. Dennis Corluzzo said, I want you to do something for me. I said, what? I want you to start picking on somebody. I said, who? Right? He gave me money. He said, make sure you do this kind of, make sure you do it. I said, okay. No other than the Elephant Boy from the Howard Stern show was there that night.
Oh, wow.
That's the person I need to pick on. I had a match against the Elephant Boy in an arm wrestling contest. All of a sudden, the Headbangers were there. Headbangers cost my match. The following month, they had a guy called Frankie Third Degree Burns. Bless his soul. A good friend of mine. He worked at ShopRite as a maintenance man. The midget from the Howard Stern show. Okay? I had to put him in the dog cage so one match could start. That went over good. All of a sudden, I laid off for a while. I just laid off out of the wrestling career for a while until one day my buddy Doug comes over. So yeah, I'm going to Philadelphia, I'm going to ECW Arena, you want to go? I said, sure, why not? Let's go. Right? Happened to be my birthday week. Took me there. Just sitting around ringside. Female referee. Stick her head out underneath the ropes. Ratboy, you still living? No other than prime time immediately. I said, yes. From there, they got me in the ring that night to slam a 6'4" giant. I almost had him off my feet. Okay? No other than somebody comes out. I believe it was Luke Hawk came out. Pretty sure it was him or somebody else. I'm not sure. Ruined the whole thing because I had him almost up in the air. As small as I am, I had that big giant up in the air, like David and Goliath. Put it that way. And after that show, I laid back again, for a while. Until I heard a friend of mine, right, that was doing a radio show. I tuned in. I was a regular guest every week there, Saturday mornings. From there, that's where I met the guy from the VOCNation, okay, Bruce Ward. He was working for this regular radio station. He said, oh, I'm going down to Pennsauken to do a show. meet us there and all, and I met him there. From there, I got slammed, as you know, by a big giant. Then from that giant, right, I went down to Georgia. Before I went to Georgia, I went to do the Superfly Snooker Bash. Okay, with Superfly Snooker, I finally met Superfly, and I told Superfly that he was the first person I ever saw on TV wrestling, and he loved it. I met his wife and all, done the bash, went down to Georgia, met Superfly, met Roddy Piper, I met them all. Roddy Piper, Jerry the King, all of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
This happened, and plus, one guy, you know Tony Atlas, right?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Yeah, I do.
Jordan?
Yeah, I'm still there. I do.
Jordan.
Can you hear me okay? Are you still there?
Hello?
Are you looking for the best vehicle for your needs at an affordable budget? Well, Hickman Auto Sales and Financing has exactly what you're looking for. Choose from a wide variety of vehicles like the 2012 Hyundai Tucson GLS, the 2016 Chrysler 200LX, and the 2020 Chevrolet Tahoe. All trades are accepted and paid off, and child tax, pension, disability, EI, social assistance, or self-employed are all approved. Low payments of $0 down. For more information, call 204-898-3511 or visit HickmanAutoFinancing.com. Tell them Jordan Garber now sent you. Coming up next on the Jordan Garber Now podcast, one of the main event interviews I did with Rene Dupree 4 years ago at Garden City Shopping Center. Very short, but very sweet, and he's next on the Jordan Garber Now podcast. Yeah. We are here with former WWE star Rene Dupree. How are you tonight?
I'm doing good, man.
So pretty much just tell us how you got started in the wrestling business and how that came about.
I started in 1997, really. My father owned his own promotion out of Atlantic, Canada. He ran pre-wrestling. And I started working for him, setting up rings, selling merchandise, and so on and so forth. And in 1998, I made my debut at 14 years old. And that was 18 years ago.
So being so young and debuting at 14, were you nervous getting in the ring and everything?
Oh, I've wanted to be a wrestler ever since I can imagine. I grew up with it. I've been around, guys like Leo Burke, Dynamite Kid, Masahiro Chono, Harley Race. I've been around stars and wrestling my whole life, so for me it is life.
So when did you find out you were going to get the call to the WWE and make your debut?
At 18, we sent a package with my promo tape and everything else, and they got back to me, and we had a tryout in Cincinnati. It was a week-long tryout at the then Developmental Territory, HWA, and out of that camp, I got signed.
People may know you about your feud with John Cena. Tell us how that went, and were you kind of nervous at the time? And now looking back to that feud, are you proud of that?
Oh, I'm very proud of it. Vince McMahon himself has credited me for helping, make John Cena such a powerful at that time. It's just the only regret I have is not being able to work with him more so I can make more money.
So, besides wrestling, besides performing in the ring and entertaining the fans, obviously, what else do you like about the business the most?
Well, for me, it's life. This is what I'm used to. I've been doing this my entire life. I've been around it my entire life, so I don't fit in the regular 9 to 5. That doesn't suit me. You understand? When you're born and raised in this, you have a different mentality. Let's just put it that way.
And tell us, going to Japan, what you're doing now, how's that all going for you?
Well, I started going to Japan in 2007 when I asked for my release from WWE, and 48 tours later, I'm still there. That's a place where wrestlers get good. That's a place where you learn the sport. That's a place where you learn discipline. And if you can make it in Japan, you can make it anywhere.
Anything else you want to say?
No, man. Thank you for the time. And if you want to book me, it's Rene Dupree with one E at hotmail.com. Or you can reach me on Facebook at Rene Gauguin. That's my real name, Gogun. Thanks for the time, man. Appreciate it.
Awesome. So, thank you so much. Do you enjoy talking to your favorite wrestling superstars? Well, Jordan Garber now has an opportunity for you. For only $5.99, you get to have a 10 to 15 minute conversation with any of your favorite Jordan Garber Now interviewees. Send me a Facebook message for more information. Are you looking for cards for any occasion, whether that's weddings, birthday parties, or just straight out for fun? Well, check out mytradingcards.com and they can create any trading card for you. The official trading card of the Jordan Garber Now podcast. Alright, Jordan Garber Now continues to go back in the archives. Coming up next, Kris Masters on the podcast. Welcome to Jordan Garber Now here on anchor.fm/Jordan-Garber. Today we take a look way back in the Jordan Garber Now archives and we go back to our interview with the masterpiece Kris Masters. So let's bring it to the interview right now. Right. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the masterpiece Kris Masters. How are you today, Kris?
I'm doing good. This is day number 3 in Winnipeg, and I haven't caught hypothermia, so I'm happy about that.
You know, it's freezing out here. You know,
It's freezing.
It's freezing. Just tell us about your start training in OVW to starting to become a wrestler. How did it go?
I started in UPW in California, got signed to OVW, which was basically like my college. Spent a year and a half down there, and then got called up to the big leagues.
Describe your first few matches. Were you nervous? And were you nervous about you had a good physique. Were you less nervous, or were you just nervous in general about becoming a wrestler?
Oh, I was definitely nervous. You know, you're so new and green, as they say, at the time that, you're excited, but the nerves kind of outweigh that, which, brings me to like where I'm at today, where I get much more, I still get nervous, but much more excitement, and part of that is due just to, confidence I built that I can go out there and put on a good match if need be. Not that today would be a good representation of that, but for the most part.
Describe your WWE debut. What was going through your mind? Any butterflies? Were you confident? What happened? What was going on in your mind?
I was sick as a dog, man. I had food poisoning. I ate a tuna sandwich at a gas station the night before, so it was the sickest I've ever been in my life, and unfortunately it was the day I ended up breaking Stevie Richards' nose, if you remember. So it was just all around a kind of a nightmare, the debut, but it got better from there. I've never injured a person since, which I take great pride in, and I felt terrible about that, but it was horrible, man. I was throwing up all day. I mean, it was coming out of everywhere. I mean, it was just, food poisoning is not fun.
You wrestled your idol, Shawn Michaels, in Unforgiven 2005. Describe the moment of wrestling one of the best in the world.
He was my childhood idol growing up, so I mean, it was the equivalent of winning the world championship in my eyes. Like working Shawn, I just knew going into the program with him that I didn't want to ever look back and at the pay-per-view match and have any regrets or have a bad match with someone of such great talent. You know what I mean? And someone that I idolize. So that was the most important thing, is to come out of that match and that program, and it had gone smooth, and have a good match with him, and I accomplished that, luckily,
I was actually watching some Rinka King tapes. Describe going to Rinka King, wrestling in India. I talked to fellow interviewee Trevor Burdock about that. How was India as your American Adonis character?
It was cool. It was just different, It was like they had the TNA style production, and we had to work with a lot of guys that were really green that they casted in India, so that was a challenge. But it was fun. We had a good group there: Luke Gallows, Matt Morgan, Mickey James, and we all had a great time. I mean, we just partied at the hotel, and then took care of our business during the day, and we made the most of it. It was fun. Although I will say Harry Smith went down pretty bad. He must have drank the water.
Describe wrestling on the indies. You wrestled a lot of places like Netherlands, England, pretty much everywhere. Describe the experience of doing that.
It's fun, man. It's fun getting around. After I leave Canada here, I'll go home for 2 days and go to England. And what I enjoy about it the most is I love to be in WWE, but at the same time, there's so much pressure and stress and the weight on your shoulders and anxiety about that job that it makes doing stuff like this much more fun as far as just being able to go out there and do what you love without having to deal with all of that. It doesn't pay like WWE, but it still gets me by, so.
And if there is one thing you could do again in wrestling, if you could start from scratch, what would you correct?
I made a lot of mistakes, but I think I kind of anticipated that. We're human beings, and, that's why I kind of wanted to break in, because I figured I would probably make some mistakes and have to learn from them. It's hard to point out anything specifically, but I definitely regret falling off track on my first run with WWE, because I had all the juice behind me. The organization, WWE, they really put a push behind me, and, it was me who kind of derailed that whole thing with my personal issues.
Any other comments?
I just want to say thanks for having me out in Winnipeg and out here in Canada. Canada has some of the greatest wrestling fans in the world, no BS, and they're passionate. And, it's always special coming up here, going to Europe. They just really appreciate wrestling. Not to say that the United States doesn't, but it's just a little different.
Thank you so much, Kris.
Thank you.
That concludes our interview. All right, that was none other than Kris Masters here on Jordan Garber Now. That was dating back all the way from February 2014 on the CWE Tour. Definitely a classic interview, and we're going to present one each and every month with the likes of Mr. Anderson, Frankie Kazarian, AJ Styles, among many other great guests. So, that's it. That was our interview with Kris Masters here on Jordan Garber Now. Hey Jordan Garber Now fans, don't forget to get your Jordan Garber Now merchandise on the Facebook page Jordan Garber Now Podcast. 8x10s are available, cards and stickers, and much more. Check it out. Well guys, it looks like that's it for this week's edition of the Jordan Garber Now Podcast. You guys have been great, showing your support, showing great love, continue to do so. And once again, sorry we're 1 day late, but we're going to be back on Friday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. We really don't want you guys to miss out, so be sure to tune in live, and I'm going to give some stuff away on the program. I have team photos, I have card sets, I have wrestling belts, I have 8x10s, I have a lot. So let me know what you're interested in getting as a prize, and tune in next Friday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. For myself, Jordan Garber, and the Jordan Garber Now Podcast, I hope you enjoyed our interviews, throwback interviews with Kris Masters and Rene Dupree. And you guys have yourselves a great night, and please treat everybody with kindness and respect. Stay safe.